What can we do? That is a question that comes up quite often in a lot of the comments for the videos that I create. And the question is directed in response to what we're seeing happening from the Trump administration. The intent is clear with what the Trump administration is trying to do. They've often talked about the shock and awe effort that they are embarking on over the first 90 days of their presidency. And it's designed to either cause people to freeze, flee, or fight. And that often leads to a decision paralysis where people are overwhelmed and unsure on what they need to do. When you look at what you can do and understand the power that you have, you need to look at the taxonomy of action. And the taxonomy of action gives you a number of things that can be leveraged to fight back against the rising tide of fascism and tyranny. And basically, when you look at all of the different things that you can do, it ranges from the number of people that are required on the left-hand side to the level of risk that you incur on the right-hand side. So when you look at all the different things that you have available based on the situation, all of those things can become options for action. But for the average citizen, things that fall into the acts of omission category are the things that we should be looking at. So what are acts of omission that everybody can look to do? Well, there's a number of things that's within everybody's power to execute and organize around. You can certainly look at strikes and walkouts, boycotts and embargoes, identify those organizations that are not aligning with the values that you support, to organize around withdrawing your spending from those organizations. And you don't need to pick every single one. You can pick one. For those that are in military service, conscientious objection is another vehicle that you can use. Certainly, all of us, to varying degrees, have excommunicated or stopped communication with people that are MAGA supporters who are in our communities. You can withdraw economic or social support for those organizations or people that are aligned with these dictatorial and tyrannical forces. When you're looking at acts of commission, this requires direct confrontation and an activated resistance. And those can fall into a number of categories as well. When you're looking at indirect action, you can look at lobbying, protests, education and awareness. And these are all things that the average citizen can do. And in these sort of circumstances, everybody should be tapping into the skills that they have and doing what is necessary in direct and indirect ways that make sure that there is a vocal and visible resistance against these forces. Now, some of these other things that you can do in terms of support work and capacity building and operational expertise and direct confrontation and conflict, those require a particular set of skills. And if you have those skills, you should be leveraging it as well. The key thing to remember is that each one of us has more power than we realize. The onslaught of executive orders and actions are designed to make you feel weak and helpless. And the key thing to remember is when you're feeling that way, zoom out and understand the power that you wield. We have a lot more power than we realize. And the key thing that those in the 1% want us to be distracted by is our disagreements amongst each other, and also fueled by the doubt that we can actually impact change. That is by design. They want you to think you're helpless. They want you to think there's nothing that you can do. They want you to roll over and be quiet. And when you look at what happened in Germany, silence was the mustache man's best weapon. He banked on that to advance what he wanted to do. So learning from that lesson, we need to make sure that we are active, loud, and confrontational and leveraging all of our skills and power to make sure that we're standing in the breach against the advancing tide of tyranny.